All right, welcome everybody to a very special, first of its kind live episode here of Mike's Money Picks. We have got a fully jam-packed episode here because we've got the college football playoff going on, Ohio State and Miami. We're going to be talking about that game, a DFS slate that is going on with, the New Year's Eve slate. Again, talk about kind of what went right, what went wrong for that slate. And then we've got a full 3-game college football playoff quarterfinal slate that's going on tomorrow that we're going to talk about. We're going to hit every game, every player, talk about lineup strategy, all that stuff. But what is going to make this possible is you guys being here with us in the chat. If you've got questions, comments, anything you want to talk about, let us know in the chat. And just the show is going to be kind of directed by you guys. So let us know what you want to see, what you want to hear, and we're going to go from there because this is kind of like, the first of its kind in terms of this show. As you can see, I got my background different. I'm in the living room tonight because I'm watching this game, right? So, it's going to be a different show, but, we're going to get you guys all the information you need and whatever you want to hear, whatever you want to see in order to get prepared for this slate tomorrow. And we very much appreciate you guys joining us here and ringing in 2026 with us. I am joined by my co-host, as always, every live show this season, Zac Green, aka Big Country DFS. Zac, how is New Year's Eve going for you so far?
It's going great. Thanks for having me again this season. It's been great. Just watching this Ohio State Miami. I think Miami's probably going to regret only getting a field goal on that last one. I think Ohio State woke up at halftime.
Yeah, that was just such a strange first half from Ohio State. Like I'm normally not one to call out coaching because being a part of a college football program at one point, you see how hard the coaches work. You see what they put in, what goes into making a game plan. But, bro, I don't know what they were thinking with that game plan in the first half. On defense, they had such a light box. They were letting Miami run all over them, control the down and distance, control the line of scrimmage. And offensively, it's like they didn't even have Jeremiah Smith or Bo Jackson. Dude, get the ball in the hands of your two best players. I just don't understand what they were doing. But, yeah, now they've woken up, and I'm hoping that we get a pretty thrilling finish here.
Yeah, the first couple of years, whenever we had the playoffs and they were all blowouts, it was like, this is not even fun. And I'm hoping tomorrow is just starting off with fireworks with Texas Tech and Oregon.
Yeah, I'm last weekend was kind of a letdown in terms of the first round of the college football playoff, right? Alabama, Oklahoma, it looked like it was a blowout and then it wasn't, but then it was kind of a blowout the other way. It wasn't actually intriguing to the finish. Miami and Texas A&M, you had the wind, which made it just this super weird game. And then the two G5 teams, nothing against Tulane and JMU, but that was not fun. It was not fun to watch.
It was only exciting after Oregon put in their third and fourth string, and then JMU was thrown all over the field.
Yeah, and Alonze Barnett and Wayne Knight start going crazy.
Speaking of today's quarterback slate, literally they all went crazy, it seemed like.
Yes, perfect segue there. This was one of the strangest slates of college football DFS in recent memory for me. Just with what we had happen with the quarterback position, it was wild. Before the slate started, I'm thinking dang, this doesn't even look like that great of a quarterback slate. And now it's if your quarterback didn't score 40 points, you're behind.
Yeah.
Just truly unbelievable. I have forever now lost trust in Kenny Dillingham. And I'm not afraid to say that. You can't come out in a press conference and be like, hey, we're going to play Cam Dyer. Cam Dyer is going to get some snaps. Bull crap. You play Jeff Sims the whole game. And I should have ignored the press conference and been like, hey, Arizona State has no running backs. Duke is an awful secondary. Duke's a good enough offense that this game's going to be a shootout. Jeff Sims has the chance to go crazy, and I played him a little bit because I was so worried about him splitting snaps. I should have just played him all out, right? I really think that was kind of my mistake, was just not going all in on Jeff Sims. I should have really just been not just ignored the noise and played him. Now, the one guy I was right about, Zac, and I gotta be honest, I'm a very happy Texas fan. The one guy I was right about was Arch Manning.
Yeah, and see, and that's why I thought we were having a good slate with Pavia, because I faded him for Manning too because
Mhm.
I loved him, and then Pavia ends up getting there. But like you mentioned, he only got 32. That was no good for Dampier, Manning, several others. They were all cheaper and they all got way higher scores.
Right.
Uh,
Pavia was almost 4x value, and if you played him, you were probably feeling pretty good. And then Sims
then
and
everything
Dampier
else,
both top
yeah.
50.
And
Yeah,
and I,
like
I was so mad at Dillingham too with the Sims thing because I probably would have played him at least a little bit, but I also, always worry about him being trash because he's either he's either like that 40, 50 points or he kills your lineup. It's like no in between.
right. Which is why he's like the perfect GPP quarterback. But
uh,
also, he's going to be sorely missed because he's played college football for like 7 years. I feel like he was at Georgia Tech in like the mid 2010s, and now he's out. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting slate. Do you have any kind of live sweats going? Like, you got any lineup that could end up being big?
no, probably not. Just because I don't have, like, I had Dampier and Manning in a line,
Mm-hmm.
but I had a lot of Mosley, and then he got hurt, and that kind of screwed me there.
Mm-hmm. My
And
my best lines are done, which is like the worst feeling when like you're sitting at a pretty good number, but like, oh dang, it's not going the other direction. It's only going to come down. So like, I'm not getting excited. I'm not like counting my eggs before they hatch. But yeah, just a crazy New Year's Eve slate. All
yeah,
right, let's go ahead
looks
and
like
get caught up
we
in the
got
chat.
a lot of
Yeah,
chat going on.
perfect. That was perfect because when you start these live shows, like it always takes a second for everybody to get the notification and get on in. But I see we got our guy Darren in the chat. I always love the pile of Pampers boxes in the background. Hey, that's the 2 kids under 2 life, man. And I'm trying to get my daughter potty trained, and it's not going well. I see we got our guy Huncho in the chat. What is up, Huncho? Thank you for spending your New Year's Eve with us. Myron, happy New Year's to you as well. Happy to have you here. SJ says, what are your thoughts on the transfer portal? Should something be done because it affects the quality of bowl games? So I'll give my take on this. It might be a little bit different from yours, Zach. So you remember how last year how the NCAA eliminated the spring transfer window? Like that's something that's moving forward. Like there's going to be no spring transfer window. I think they messed up. I think they should have eliminated the winter transfer window and kept the spring one because to me, it's just the timing of it, right? Like if you're a guy and you have an intention of entering the portal, there's no reason for you to play in the bowl game, right? But if it was a spring transfer window, if you had to wait till April 1st to enter the portal, then even if you get hurt or whatever, you got 4 months to recover. You can put some good film out there on tape in a bowl game. To me, that's the change that needs to be made is just move the transfer window back to the spring.
Yeah, and so I think I kind of agree with that too. And I've also noticed, some of there's a video that I saw yesterday on TikTok where there's like a conspiracy theory that the NCAA is just letting it blow up so that Congress has to get involved.
Yes, I think on the basketball side, that's really what they're doing.
Yeah, because especially with that NBA mess with James Najee being able to come back after he already got drafted and stuff. But I also think if they want to have the Bulls survive, which they do for the TV money, for the sponsorships, all that stuff.
Yes.
That you need to make rules like, okay, we're either going to, if you're in the portal, you can't play in the bowl, or you're in the portal and you still have to play, or some kind of rule, because there's been too much stuff like the other day with Skylar Bell,
that was the weirdest one, man.
I'm playing, I'm trying to get my team to play, and then he comes out, plays one drive, puts a coat on.
And posted on Instagram, but can't wait for one last game with the boys. Like, bro, can't wait for one last drive with the boys. Like, you didn't play the whole game. Like, it's annoying.
Yeah, and they're so involved, like ESPN and all the stuff is so involved with the betting side of it too. Like, you want people to bet on it, so they're not going to bet on it when it's just this big old mess like it is now.
Right.
And
huge third down stop for Miami, by the way.
Yeah, I think they're going to go for it, though, it looks like.
I hope they do. But yet at the same time, I don't know, getting from 10 to 7 is huge. I'm going to be curious to see what Day does here, because if you cut it back to 7, you get a stop, you can tie it.
Yeah,
if you go for this and don't get it, you still got to score twice.
or they're just trying to drop
He's
him off
going for it.
sides.
Looks like he's going for it.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, we'll keep getting caught up on the chat. So,
touchdown.
Hunter says biggest Bert Emanuel Jr. fan of the week. Yes, I feel like I was the only one who was on him, but yet people played him. So like I wasn't the only one that was on him. Oh wow. We'll see what this flag is. But yeah, that was definitely a huge help for me was having Bert Emanuel Jr. in that game against North Texas. Wow. Okay, this game just got real interesting. Jeremiah Smith is him, if you did not know already. Yeah, Bert Emanuel Jr. definitely helped me out on that Saturday slate. And then we got Myron seeing Arizona State cook Duke today made me even upset about UVA losing to Duke. Yes, 100%. It also made me upset watching Duke be like we couldn't have had them in the playoff over JMU. Like, you're really telling me that the committee, like, you're really telling me that you thought JMU was better than them? Like, that was disappointing. And then, Darren, this is another thing I was going to mention when we were talking about the transfer portal stuff. If you're a bowl game, lean into the gimmick, right? Because what are the bowl games that, like, we all remember right now? It's the Pop-Tarts Bowl, right? There's the Xbox Bowl was quite memorable, I thought, with all the stuff they were doing. And then today you had the Cheez-It Bowl and the Tony the Tiger Bowl that the gimmicks made it fun. Like Sark getting dumped with a bowl of Cheez-Its and Arch getting to talk to Prince Chedward. I thought that made the Cheez-It Bowl quite fun. And I think that more bowl games need to lean into those gimmicks. I definitely think that's something that they need to do. Speaking of which, happy Texas fan today. I'm just like, if you could draw up what you wanted to see from your team in a bowl game heading into next season, Texas got it. But like Arch looked great. The young receivers, by the time the game was over, were stepping up and making plays. The defense, super young, super inexperienced, but they were making plays by the end of the game. Like, definitely positive vibes heading into next season. Could not be happier. And then, yeah, we everybody reacting to the Jeremiah Smith touchdown. Yeah, that was huge. That was huge.
Yeah, I was all in on Jeremiah Smith today. And if I just, like you said, go all in on Sims and Manning, I'd be ranking right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that made me so mad was I was like, okay, Moss or Hamilton is going to go off for Arizona State.
Yes.
And they're both cheap, and I picked the wrong one.
I had it eventually got there at the end, but on FanDuel, I played a ton of Malik McLean because he was super mispriced. And the entire game, I'm like, oh, man, I picked the wrong one. And then at the end of the game, he scored. And it definitely looked like a pretty good value play by the end there.
And also on that same game, so tilting by Duke, Nate Shepherd should have had 5 touchdowns.
Oh, my God, yes. You have a really good goal line running back, and what are you going to do when you get to the goal line? Let's just not run him at all. Let's just throw it. Let's bring Castle in off the bench for no reason at all, and let's
and then Myron, UBC or UBC,
yeah,
he was no good.
I had him too. I did. I picked a lot of the wrong receivers today. I had a lot of Trey Richardson. The Texas guys, I didn't really get any of them right, but
well, they all did Wingo get hurt too.
Yeah, so Wingo got hurt, Mosley got hurt at the end of the game.
Yeah, that kind of just screwed everything.
Yeah, and they kind of didn't have a lot of success throwing at the very end of the game. Like it was a lot of arch running. So yeah. And Darren, yes, they did outcoach Biff, even though Biff is my guy from his time at Charlotte. I was so upset Biff didn't rock the sleeveless today. It must have been too cold in Orlando. I really thought he was going to go sleeveless again, and we were going to get some memes. Anyway, you ready to go ahead and talk New Year's Day, Zach?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So while I'm pulling it up, why don't you tell the people about the sheet that they're about to see on their screens?
All right, so this is a sheet that we do for college football, and we do college basketball daily too. But you can find it on Twitter at Big Country DFS or both the Discords, Fantasy Corner Discord or Big Country DFS Discord. And it just kind of helps give you a guide. It has all the stats on the bottom. It has, the totals right there in one place. You don't have to go to ESPN, wherever. And then we list again. This is not our player pools because obviously we're not going to play every single player. This is just the main guy, like every player that's there, and then we have 3 categories: cash, which is safe for all formats; GPP, which is those that aren't safe for cash because their floor is not there, but they got the upside still. And then risky is those guys like Hamilton would have been today, or Moss, or the guys that nobody's playing but have huge upside. And then obviously mega risk is just basically you probably don't want to play them. And you can take a safe bet by fading mega risk and risky, especially for cash games. Like Logan Diggs right there. That's a good example. He's only in play if something happened to Kawan Lacey. Like he gets hurt during the game, like happened against Tulane. And so it's just a guide to kind of help you build your own player pool, and it breaks it down all in one spot.
And another thing too that I think is super helpful about it. Again, this is not a player pool. We're not playing literally every guy on the slate, y'all. What I think is super helpful is just a way to organize thoughts, right? Because like a lot of times when we make these sheets, the guys that end up getting Mark Green are the guys that end up being very highly owned. And so you can kind of check yourself as you're going through a lineup. Like if you're playing GPPs, you probably don't want to have a whole lineup that's green. You probably want to find a way to be different, right? Which actually leads me into the first point that I want to talk about with this slate, Zach, because I've already posted my core and my write-up to Patreon. I have already written my article for DrOdo.com. I've done all the prep for this slate. I have not built all of my lineups yet. The one thing I am worried about is I am worried about me in GPPs being different. I feel like on this slate, with only one exception, I like all the popular plays. Are you kind of in a similar boat right now?
Yeah. So obviously Stockton and Chambliss are going to be the 2 highest on quarterbacks, not even close.
Yes, for sure.
And so I'm high on them. Dickey and Williams, which Dickey's going to be higher on than Williams, I think, just because he's been more TD, the TDs guy. And then, Himby and Black, Frazier, Lacey. And so, and that's a good segue right there. Lacey is probably one of the stands I'm going to be taking at fading of the high-owned guys.
I could not agree more. So, like, the thing that I keep thinking back to is, like, last year – now, it's not apples to apples, right? But last year, do you remember Jeremiah Love heading into the Georgia game?
A little bit, yeah.
Where Jeremiah Love had this injury. It wasn't known if he was going to play. It wasn't known if he was full strength. And then you kind of start watching the game, and it's like, oh, like, he's not Jeremiah Love today, right? Like, they're not using him the way they normally do. He's not playing the snaps he normally does. If this wasn't a college football playoff game, he probably wouldn't have even been active. I kind of feel like that's where we're trending with Lacey, because you talk about a running back with a shoulder injury, that thing's going to hurt every time he gets tackled. Every single time. And I just can't envision them being like, hey, come on, we're going to need you to run this thing 20 times against a bunch of 5-stars. And it's going to hurt every single time, bud. That's okay. Like, I just can't see them doing that to him and with him, right? And then Georgia's a really good run defense. So, like, if he's not going to get his normal volume, if he's not going to be as effective, if he's not the same guy, and he's got a bad matchup, it just seems like an easy fade to me.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for the fact that he fell in the end zone twice against them the first matchup, he wouldn't have got 19 DraftKings points that he did.
31 rushing yards.
Yeah, 30 rushing yards and 3 catches for 10 yards. They just don't use him a lot in the passing game either. He'll get a couple, but not a whole lot.
No, the structure of that offense is not built to use the back in the passing game. It's just not. So I think he's probably, like, of all the quote unquote chalky guys, he's probably the one that I'm willing to fade. But from there, I still feel like I gotta find some guys that I need to use to get different. I gotta find some low owned guys. I gotta find some different strategies, right? And so the question today is going to be how we do that.
Yeah.
So,
and one of the guys that we both like is coming in lower owned than I figured he would be.
Okay.
So
I don't know who you're talking about, but we'll get to him.
Okay.
All right. I see we got Brett in the chat. What is up, Brett? Happy to have you here ringing in the new year with us. If you're in the chat, let us know. Let us know what your thoughts are. Is there anybody that,
too.
yeah, Josh as well. If there's anybody that you want to hear us talk about or want to discuss, maybe you're playing a different format. Maybe you want to do underdog drafts. You want to talk about showdown, like whatever you guys want. That's what we're here for. We're here to hang out with you guys, right? So let's start off with what we always do, the game stacking segment, right? So is this as simple as just saying, you know what? One way I could win a GPP is to build out a big old Georgia Ole Miss stack. Like, is that a viable strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think of the, obviously we're talking about the best defenses here in college football because you don't get here without being the best defense. But
my sure group of 5 team.
Yeah.
Carry on. I'm still butthurt that I watched Texas today look like a top 10 team in the nation and they weren't in the playoff. But carry on.
But Ole Miss is the one that I think is the most vulnerable.
100% agree.
And so Georgia is going to be looking good. And then I think Indiana and Bama are the two best, other than Texas Tech. Texas also. I think we got 3 of the top 4 defenses in this game, in this slate. And so obviously you don't want to be stacking against one of the top 5 defenses in college football.
No, it's like I've watched enough Texas Tech all season. Now, granted, you could always make the counter argument with Texas Tech, like, have they played a team as good as Oregon? Have they played an offense as good as Oregon? Probably not. But this defense has been just utterly stifling to everybody all season long. It's just really hard for me to envision Oregon coming out and like dropping 35 on the Texas Tech defense. It's just hard for me to picture.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there is some pieces that are viable, like Texas Tech usually gives it up to tight ends when they do. So you could have Sadiq and Jamari Johnson.
So I saw you say that in the chat earlier, and I'm like, really? And I went back and looked it up, and you're 100% right. Bentley had a big game for Utah. Mateer had a big game for Arizona State. And there was one more. I wish I would have wrote it down. But there was
Carson
one
Ryan,
more big.
I think, did for BYU.
Oh, it was Garrett Oakley for Kansas State. That was it. Oakley had like 5 for 62 and a touchdown. So they actually do give it up to the tight end a good bit, which is not what I would have expected, because I was not that high on Sadiq and Johnson, because my thinking was, Texas Tech, really athletic linebackers, not a great matchup for a tight end. And then you go back and look at it and it's like, nah, like they kind of do give it up to a tight end. So I do like that shout as well.
I think it's because they do a lot of blitzing with the linebackers.
Yes, Rodriguez is flying all over the field. He's not really playing man coverage on a tight end.
And so I definitely think, and also, obviously for fantasy, you want mobile quarterbacks. And in my opinion, there's only 3 on this slate. It's Mendoza, Chambers, and Stockton. And Mendoza, I mean, yeah, he doesn't run a ton, but he can run when he needs to. Morton is not going to run at all. He doesn't really run. Yeah. And then Simpson, he's like a statue. He doesn't run.
Well, Simpson's ended the last 2 games with like a combined negative 50 rushing yards.
Yeah, and so that's can actually be negative points. Like if you think about it, that's negative 50 is -5 rushing.
Negative 5 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing too, we might get weather in the Indiana-Alabama game.
Yeah, it's been raining all week. They said the tarp has been on since Tuesday on the field.
So like, I wish I could remember the exact example, but like I wish I could remember the exact 2 teams. But I only remember stacking a weather game working one time, and it was on a Maction slate, and it was a snow game, and just both offenses went crazy because the defenses kept slipping. But like, I've never ever seen a weather game.
I think I remember that. I think it was like Akron and somebody.
It's always Akron and somebody. But yeah, like it just I can't remember any time where stacking a rain game worked out. Or like last week, like you think about the wind in Miami A&M, where that game's supposed to be the highest scoring one of the day, and the wind is just like, nah, man, we're just not going to let anybody throw today. All right. So now let's go ahead and start talking about quarterbacks. So Darren says the Tulane defense can always say two difference-making running backs in college football season could not finish the game. That is accurate. That is very, very accurate. They knocked out Hawkins one week and Lacey the next. If only Tulane could actually score in the red zone. That was like their fatal flaw.
Jeremiah Smith is still good.
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith he could be the 10th best receiver in the NFL right now. And then, yes, the SEC has been kind of bad this bowl season, Darren. I am trying to avoid using bowl season as like a referendum on conferences because of the fact that not everybody's playing. You're getting a lot of opt-outs. Not everybody has motivations. But, yeah, for the most part, the middling SEC teams have looked like garbage. I agree with that sentiment. Josh, that is 100% accurate. Bye week teams coming out slow again like last year. Ohio State 100% coming out slow in this game. Very much making me nervous. But now they're starting to pick it up because they're throwing to Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, I like what Myron's talking about here.
Yes, that brings us natural segue. Let's talk about quarterbacks, right? So what we just talked about, I think is 100% accurate. Everybody's going to play Stockton and Chambliss. Everybody, right? So which one of these guys can you play that is going to be different? That is going to be a little bit outside the box that could win you some money. And I really like Myron's point. I really do. I think if you're playing GPPs, everybody and their brother is going to play Dickey. Williams is going to have a little bit of ownership as well. So you're getting different from those lineups. And you could play Morton. Good luck figuring out which wide receiver it is. But you're going to be so different by doing that could be a path to victory if it ends up working out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you could do Morton, receiver, and then just play Himby and Black together so you don't have to worry about which one. Because I think they're gonna run all over Alabama.
Yeah, I very much think Indiana's gonna blow out Alabama. I very much do. So among the other three quarterbacks that we got marked GPP here. So we'll deal with Stockton and Chambliss in a second. But between Moore, Mendoza, and Simpson, is there anyone that you want to make an argument for, Zach? Because I've got one that I can make a compelling GPP argument for.
I have one. It might be the same.
Okay, you go first.
So mine is Mendoza.
Mine is not. So you go ahead.
Yeah. So first off, with that, Simpson, it's going to be one of those I'm just fading completely. If he burns me, he burns me. I'm not even going to go there.
I get it.
Yeah. So then Mendoza, the thinking is if it is going to be rain, I think he's going to be least affected between him and Simpson. And if the running game can't get going for whatever reason, he's got all of his receivers back. Cooper's going to be back full strength. Surratt, Becker's been coming on strong. And so, and like we talked about, he's the other one that can run a little bit. We're not going to see very much running from those other three guys.
Yeah, and you think about the offenses that have really given Alabama trouble. We talked about this on the round one show, is why we played a little bit of Mateer. The fact that Alabama does not deal with mobile quarterbacks and zone reads and RPOs and stuff like that. They just don't. And that's going to be what Indiana throws at them. Mendoza's not John Mateer with his athleticism. He's not Tommy Castellanos. He's not Jackson Arnold, but he can run a little bit. And Alabama's kind of going to give that up. So I could see Mendoza getting in the end zone with a rushing touchdown. I could see him hitting his over on his rushing prop. I do like Mendoza. The guy I'm going to make the case for, though, Zach, do you know who it's going to be?
Dante Moore or Morton?
It's going to be Dante Moore.
Yeah.
And my thinking is this. My thinking is Oregon's pathway to winning this game is not just running it head first over and over again into that Texas Tech front seven. Oregon's pathway to winning this game is going to be airing it out and using their talented wide receivers up against the Texas Tech secondary that really hasn't been tested all that much. And so I really think that you're going to see a ton of passing volume from Oregon because they're not going to be able to run. They might even abandon the run. And that can lead to a case where Moore's going to have a lot of upside just because he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. I don't think they're going to run the ball. And so, and another situation. They got talented receivers.
They do. They very much do.
It's a good defense too, but they got talented receiver. And nobody, I think if you look at the ownership, I think Oregon's probably going to have the least ownership of any of the teams.
I think you're right about that because you end up with a scenario where Moore's not mobile, so you have to play him stacked. And they play so many different guys at running back. They throw to so many different guys at wide receiver. It becomes hard to make the stacks, and that leads to lower ownership. It's not like with Stockton where, Georgia plays all these guys, but Stockton could just run for 2 touchdowns and you'd be good, right? Which leads us to the next point. So if you're in the chat, tell us who you think is going to be the number 1 quarterback tomorrow. Just who's your number 1 quarterback tomorrow? Price, not a factor. Team, opponent, whatever, not a factor. Who's going to be the number 1 scoring quarterback by the end of the day tomorrow? Tell us who you think it's going to be. I know, Zach, both of our top 2 quarterbacks are Stockton and Chambliss. I know that for a fact. Which one do you like better?
I like Chambliss better just because I think Georgia's going to be able to run the ball on Ole Miss. So I think we're going to see more Frazier in this one. I still like Stockton a lot. I don't hate him at all. But I think Chambliss is going to have to do it. He's going to have to run more with Lacey, dealing with that. And he's going to be throwing it all day long. So that's my pick is Chambliss.
I don't mind it. Like I said, he's my number 2 quarterback, but I'm going Gunnar Stockton number 1. Y'all, he's kind of been my ride or die all season, right? Like what dating back to, was it the Tennessee game when we were both on him and he went nuclear? I think it was Tennessee.
Yes, that was the game that we were like stacking up, and he was like 6% owned.
Yes, like he's been my guy ever since then. Like you got a guy who is athletic enough to give you 50 rushing yards, multiple touchdowns. You've got a guy who's prolific enough passing to give you the 300-yard bonus. Now, obviously, Chambliss can do both those things as well. But my worry is, what if Ole Miss just gets completely shut out? Like, what if Georgia just blanks them, right? And then you would need it to be somebody other than Chambliss. And so to me, that is a fairly likely outcome. So Stockton's going to be my number 1.
Yeah, it's just going to be really hard for me, even in GPPs, to get away from either one of those 2 guys.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm probably going to do, like I said, I haven't built out all my lineups yet. I built out a few of them. A lot of them have both of them. Spoiler alert. What I'm probably going to do is like build out a Gunner and Moore lineup and then kind of just copy paste and then replace Gunner with Chambliss and see what it looks like. And then build out a Gunner and Mendoza lineup and then replace Gunner with Chambliss, see what it looks like. Like that's probably going to be what I do is I'm probably going to have a ton of both of them. And even in my lineups where I'm going a little bit off the board with Dante Moore or with Mendoza or with Barron, I'm going to probably still play one of Gunner or Chambliss. Yeah.
So kind of the same logic with that. Another thing that I did was like I built my cash line and I had Dickey and Black. And so I literally the next GPP, same exact line, and then I did Hemby and Williams. Just changing the running backs. Oh, Mark Fletcher.
Oh, you're ahead of me. Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
You're good. You're good. It's YouTube TV. Oh, let me see how far he gets.
Do you have – because I have YouTube TV too. If you go, there's a thing where you have to select broadcast delay decreased.
Really?
And once I found that out, because I was like way behind people until I figured that out. So if you go to, I don't know on my iPad here because I don't have a TV in this room, so I'm just using my iPad.
Hold on. There we go. I got it.
Yeah. It's so much better since I did that.
Yeah. It literally just jumped ahead 10 seconds on the game clock.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day. All right. So, yeah, let's get caught back up on the chat. So, Darren and Myron, hold those thoughts on the receivers. We're going to be
I got a comment on Myron's.
Yes, don't worry. We're going to be talking about the wide receivers. But I see we got some votes for Chambliss. We got one vote for Gunner. Okay, but the bottom line is everybody seems like they're going to be on Chambliss and Stockton. Ooh, I like this point by Myron right here.
Yeah. So
You're 100% right about that, Myron. We're going to get there with receivers.
Well,
Trust me.
the comment I have real quick, just so I don't forget and we don't mention it again, is Noah Thomas played one snap because he was hurt in the last game, and he's good to go. So
and Colby Young is back.
Yeah, we could see Noah Thomas finally break out because everyone was like, "Oh, he's back," and it was just a decoy thing in the SEC title game.
Yeah.
But so he's good. He's good for this game.
It definitely could be a day where Branch doesn't lead them in receiver. And so one way you could be different is by playing Gunner and not stacking him with Branch because everybody wants to stack him with Branch. All right, let's talk running back now, which is a perfect segue into
this comment.
Dude, this is like the story of my season. Like playing Jacoby Williams and then watching them get down to the 1 yard line. And it's like, oh, here comes Cameron Dickey again, right? It's kind of like when you play an Eagle in fantasy football in the NFL and they get to the one, it's like, oh, here comes the tush push, right? Like you just know it's coming. It's inevitable. So on this slate, how are we feeling about Dickey and Williams, Zach? Because I got to be honest, I really like both of them.
Yeah, I'm going to be using both. And I think, honestly, you could make a case for jamming them both in lineups together. Because like we see all year long, Williams' price is not that high. Same thing with the Indiana running backs with him being black.
Let me do some math here real quick, right? So 6,800 and 5,800, that would be 12,600 combined salary, right?
Yeah, so you need about 35 to 40.
I'm looking. The only games where they did that together was where, hold on, I think the Houston game is one. Yes, the Houston game, you got 28 from Jacoby and 22 from Dickey. So it can be done. And I think the math kind of backs that that's a viable GPP strategy. Like, yeah, Texas Tech scores 4 touchdowns and it's through those 4 guys, then I think that it's likely that they're going to be, if not in the optimal, close to the optimal.
Yeah, the thing with Texas Tech that could be so frustrating too is they'll put anybody. They'll put Jacob Rodriguez in there, Wildcat at the goal line.
I kind of think the shenanigans are over now, though.
Yeah, I hope so. But
yeah,
but that's the thing too. And like Myron mentioned earlier, you could see a game where everybody's using the running backs and we get Morton throwing 4 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think both are in play, and I think, like you said, you probably don't want to go crazy jam them both together. But I think you can play. If you're looking for safe Texas Tech exposure, I think you got to have one of those 2 guys.
Yes, totally agree. Now let's transition a little bit. We've already talked Juan Lacey, right? Is there anybody else on the slate that just stands out to you as somebody that you like?
No, I mean, I didn't even like when Whittington was chalk against JMU because we saw it again. They use all those guys.
Yes.
And De'Aaron Hill's actually been the better of them from what I've seen. He's been the most explosive runner and having the big plays. So I think if you want to play one of them, on price alone, it's De'Aaron Hill. Like, Davison and Whittington, like, they're just priced out for me. Whenever you have him being black or cheaper, Dickey's right there, Williams is cheaper, and you're not going to get, like, even with the splits, with him being black and Dickey and Williams, you're still getting 15 plus for each because Texas Tech is not the Mike Leach throw it 65 times a game. It's more balanced, and they're running probably 30 times a game still.
Yeah, like when you just start doing the math, it just doesn't math with playing an Oregon running back to me, right? With how much they split their carries, with how little success teams have had against Texas Tech. Like, if this team is able to run for 120 yards, which would be significantly more than Tech's average, and they split that pie, like, are anyone going to get to 100? Probably not. Are anyone going to get multiple touchdowns? Probably not. Now, the counter argument would be, well, they're going to be super lowly owned. Like, you might get a 2% De'Aaron Hill, but, like, what's his likelihood of getting the optimal? Because I'd argue that it's probably less than that 2%.
Yeah.
So I'm not here on the Oregon running backs. I'm just not.
No, and I'm basically going to be the same on the Alabama running back game too.
I'm not touching an Alabama running back.
No.
Maybe in 2026, not in 2025. Well, actually, that's a terrible way of saying it because tomorrow is 2026. Maybe in the 2026 season, no longer for 2025.
And every single time that Miller was out, or that one game with Kevin Riley, every single time that they're like, oh, they only have one running back, chop. But they didn't do anything. They just cannot run the ball this year. And that's why I agree with you. I think Indiana's just going to smoke them because you can't be one-dimensional. OU should have beat them. OU just completely, laid an egg after jumping out early.
And then also another thing as well, there comes to a point where, like, when a play is like super, super low owned, it almost doesn't even hurt you when it hits. Like in the Oklahoma game, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was Daniel Hill that had multiple touchdowns in that game. And I remember looking and like seeing like, oh, like I bet I'm going to see some Daniel Hill lineups at the top of the leaderboard. No, because the lineups that had Daniel Hill were not constructed well, right? But so there just wasn't like it didn't even hurt you when Daniel Hill scored the multiple touchdowns because nobody played him to the point where like the best lineups didn't have him. So it's just so weird. I'm not playing a Bama running back. Now, we've kind of already touched on it, but I like the Georgia backs and I like the Indiana backs. To me, you just look at the likely game flow of these teams. Georgia's favored by 7. Indiana's favored by about 7. They're going to get up. They're going to look to pound the rock, and they're probably going to have success because, let's be honest, 2 worst defenses we're going to see on this slate are probably Alabama and Ole Miss. So I just expect both of these teams to have a lot of success running. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not sure how much Bowens is going to get just because Frazier's been going more. But I definitely am going to have both of the Indiana backs.
This just got real interesting now. 1st and goal. I'm not ahead of you now, am I?
Yeah. But I don't, like I said, I think on the iPad, I don't think they have the delay thing or whatever.
So now, if you're Ohio State, you almost have to sell out for a turnover because Miami can almost run the clock all the way out, even if they were to just knee it out and kick a field goal. But yet, if they score a touchdown, it's 10 points and the game's over. So, is that Ray Lewis there too? Yeah, it is. Who would have thought that Ray Lewis would have looked like the same person in a group of people rooting for Miami? All right. Anyway, yeah. Let's get to this point that Schnabe's asked. Can you play Gunner and Frazier together? I like this question a lot. And my answer is yes, 100%. If your entire thesis is I'm playing Gunner and Frazier together, then what you're basically saying is, hey, Georgia is going to be the highest scoring team on the slate. They're going to hit 35 points, and those two are going to count for 4 or 5 combined touchdowns. And I think that is a legitimate possibility, and I think you can play both of them together. And I think that is a way you can get different is by playing both of them together. Now, is it probably optimal? No, you're going to need 35 from Georgia to get there, but it's a way that you could find yourself at the top of a leaderboard is by doing something like that.
Yeah, and then the comment from Josh up there. Yes, the weather in the game for Alabama, Indiana, and the Rose Bowl, it's been raining all week. It's supposed to rain pretty much all day tomorrow. They're actually in a flood watch too. The good thing is the wind is not going to be too bad, but it's just going to be a messy rain, and it's a grass field, obviously. So as soon as they take that turf off, it's just going to turn into a mess.
Yeah. Not optimal. Bottom line, just not optimal conditions. I know we kind of got sidetracked there. Is there any other running back you want to talk about, want to mention before we move on to wide receiver?
No, I don't believe so. The only other thing is, like, why couldn't that be Fletcher? Come on now.
I know, right? If only it was Fletcher.
Uh, Logan Diggs, if you think that Lacey's going to get hurt and go down early in the game, he's cheap enough. But again, that's one of those, I wouldn't do it in 3, 4, 5 lineups. Maybe if you're doing 20. But yeah, that would be the only other mention there.
Yeah, 100%. Now let's get caught up here because we got, the Miami scoring the dagger touchdown. Wow, that's just a massive win for Miami. And also, to me, Miami doing well in the playoff kind of makes it seem like, dang, Notre Dame really should have been in this playoff. Because Notre Dame played this Miami team tougher than this, if we're being honest. And yeah, Darren, all the ex-Hurricanes, Miami rappers, and Miami adult actresses at the game tonight. I've seen 2 out of the 3. I don't know about adult actresses. I've
well, one of them was at last week's game, so I don't know.
Yeah, the Twitter informed me about that one, and a group chats informed me about that one. I did not catch it live though. And then yeah, Ryan Day is gonna get cooked for this. Yeah, like Ohio State fans do not mess around like at all. Like it would not shock me if like there's already like for sale signs in his yard. Would not shock me. And then we got Brett asking, is Lacey fully healthy? So it's a bit of speculation on our part, right? Bit of speculation. It's a shoulder injury that caused him to leave last game, and now he is going to be active for this game. He's going to be active, but if I had to speculate, I don't think he's going to be his normal self. Is that kind of how you would assess it, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't looked too much into it to see. I'll probably do that after we get off here just to make sure. Because I don't know how serious it was. I need to go do some digging because obviously they were well in control of that game. So it could have just been a precautionary thing. But if it's not, if it's a little more than that, like you said, with shoulder going up against 350-pound linemen.
Yeah, not and 5-star athletes who move very fast. Like, not Georgia's not the team you want to play if you're hurt. Like, yeah. And also, please note that was not me trying to make a speed limit joke. They actually do move very fast on the field and off of it. All right. I think we're good to go ahead and talk about receiver.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. You're good. All right, let's go ahead and talk about wide receiver. So
I was just getting distracted because I thought my cash line was dead because I only used one quarterback today. And so I was like, okay, I'm dead. But Jeremiah Smith and Fletcher getting me there. I need some more Smith, but I thought I was dead because I was down by like 65 when this game started.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking. So hold on. Part of the glory of this time of year is multiple sports going on, but it is kind of annoying when you're trying to see how you do.
Yeah.
Because like I had a big night in college basketball tonight.
I cashed all 3 of my lineups.
I was big on Zooey tonight. Oh my, Julian's saying, "What are you doing?" Okay, well this game's done. Game's very much done. And yeah, Darren, that was the one that my group chats were blowing up about, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. Anyway, let's go ahead now talk about wide receiver. So the first thing that stands out to me here on this one, Zach, is I don't think there's like any one receiver that stands out as like, oh, I gotta play that guy. Like there's not one that I'm like gonna be probably over 70% on. Okay, maybe 70's low. There's probably not one I'm going to be over 75% on. I just don't have that strong a conviction about any of them.
The one receiver that I have the strongest conviction on is Deshaun Stribling.
Okay, I like that call. I do like Stribling.
And I'm probably a little biased because I thought he was a stud at Oklahoma State, and I was mad when we lost him. But obviously he saw the writing on the wall with no quarterback around, and he wanted to get out.
Yeah, you got that right.
Speaking of that, though, Mestamaker's coming to town, so I'm happy about that.
Oh, you got to be happy about that.
But yeah, Stribling has found the end zone 3 straight games. He's like you and I talked about all year. He's the most talented receiver of that group. Fool's gold, Harrison Wallace earlier in the year, but everyone still is riding Harrison Wallace, even though he hasn't been as productive at all lately.
When you watch Ole Miss play, Stribling just looks like the best guy. Like, that's just the best way I can explain it, is like he just looks like the best guy. Like, and you think about the structure of the Ole Miss offense under Lane Kiffin, right? Like, there's supposed to be a Trey Harris in this offense, right? They've had plenty of good wide receivers go through there. I think Chambliss is a little more limited with what he can throw from like your Jackson Darts and your Matt Corrals of the world. But I think when you look at like who could be the Trey Harris of this team, who could be that dude on this team, it's Stribling. Like, he just looks like the best one every time I watch him play.
Yeah.
And to me, that eye test is enough to play him. It is.
Yeah. So, but like you said, other than that, I think you could really mix and match. Although Zachariah Branch, as we already talked about, he's going to be very high owned.
He's going to be chalk.
Yeah. There's no way around it. He's going to be chalk because his floor is just too good with 5-6 catches, even if it's low ADOT and it's 50 yards, 5 catches for 50 yards. That's 10 points. That's a great floor. And if he finds the end zone, then it's even better. So he's going to be high on.
Another thing too is like the way PPR scoring works on DraftKings. Those little jet sweeps where they just flip it to him and the screens, like he could do nothing on the play, but you get a point.
Yeah.
Like those add up quickly because he's the guy they're doing those with. So it can really add up quickly with a guy like Branch.
But while we're talking about Georgia, we already mentioned Noah Thomas is back, and then Colby Young, and then they also will throw to Oscar Delp and Lawson Lucky as well, the tight ends. Not very much, not enough to where I'd want to play it in a main lineup. That'd be more of a showdown.
3 tight end touchdowns against Ole Miss in the first meeting.
Oh,
3.
Nice.
All to Lawson Lucky, by the way, but Delp was a part of the game plan as well. I think there's a case to be made that those Georgia tight ends, that could be a GPP play that you can make to make your lineup different.
Yeah.
So we kind of talked about Ole Miss receivers. We kind of talked about Georgia receivers. We can just kind of go team by team here. Indiana receivers, the more I think about the slate, the more I do my research, I am in on Cooper. I am out on Becker. I think Becker was kind of profiting a lot off of having Cooper or Surratt injured and playing increased snaps. I think he's going to play significantly less now that Cooper's back. And Cooper plays the slot, which, you talk about a game where it's a bad weather game. They're going to be running a ton of RPOs and zone reads. I think that Cooper could get those types of targets that you're going to see in this game. So Cooper's probably going to be my guy among the Indiana receivers.
Yeah, I would say that too. Becker was benefiting from, several weeks of Cooper and Surratt being one or the other injured. And so I think people are going to be chasing that. So that's one of the other ways. Like Branch is the chalk that I'm not comfortable fading. But Lacey and Becker I am.
Yeah.
Just because Branch, I'll fade him some. But for a main lineup, I'm not going to fade him. Lacey, I'm fine fading him in a main lineup. And then Becker as well. Because to me, you could go down $700 and get Josh Cuevas. Because now that he's back and healthy, and with Alabama is going to be getting blitzed, they're going to be trying to get the ball off quick. So that's going to be Bernard and Cuevas.
So I'm with you on that as well. I think Ryan Williams. So the thing you got to remember is tomorrow is going to be like a big. Let me think of the appropriate word here, because I hate to use the word fish. I think that it makes you sound like a holier than thou, like I'm smarter than everybody type of person. But there's going to be a lot of casual players tomorrow that haven't played college football DFS all season. but they know Ryan Williams. He was on the cover of the video game. He had the big catch and run against Georgia last year. I think Ryan Williams is going to get a little bit of ownership, more so than he probably should. And he's like completely disappeared. He's basically been benched. So I really think for the Bama receivers, I'm going to stick with Bernard. I'm probably going to play a little bit of Horton, and that's probably it for me.
Yeah, I was just, showing you because you were asking in the chat earlier about
slots. Yeah,
receivers, and so I pulled it up, and the last or this season in the slot, Brooks has actually had 222 snaps, and Ryan Williams has only had 196. So it goes right along with what you said. Is basically Ryan Williams is wide receiver 3 or 4 right now.
Yeah, and it's not where everybody thought this season was going to go for him from the start of the season. Like he was being drafted at the tail end of the first round of best ball drafts, which is crazy. Like the fall off is just crazy. All right, so now we've got one more game to talk about. Oregon, Texas Tech, and then we're going to get on out of here. So the Oregon receivers, you mentioned earlier about Sadiq being a target against Texas Tech. I don't mind that. The biggest wild card, and Myron mentioned this in the chat earlier, is DeCorian Moore being back. Like, will DeCorian Moore go back to being the wide receiver 1 like he was for the first half of the season? Or is this kind of Malik Benson career renaissance going to continue? I think it's going to be one or the other. I don't think it's going to be both. So do you have a lean between Moore and Benson?
Well, Moore was back last game, unless I was wrong.
He was active, but he played he had 2 targets.
Oh, so basically once they were up, 21 zip in the first quarter, they're just like, whatever.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, we don't really need you today, bro. You go take a rest.
Yeah. I'm going to be playing the tight ends, Sadiq and Johnson.
I don't mind that.
Because what we talked about earlier, I think all the other receivers, it's just going to be a guessing game. And Benson, he really benefits from the deep balls, and Tech doesn't really get beat deep. They're more over the middle, in short routes.
The only thing I will add about Benson is like we've always known he had this talent. We've always known that he could be this guy. And now he's starting to finally look like it. It kind of seems like everything is trending in the right direction for Benson. And so he's probably going to be my highest owned Oregon wide receiver, probably. But like I said, I haven't built it out yet. I haven't really deep dove ownership and projections and all that, because he's probably going to be the highest owned of all the Oregon receivers as well.
Yeah. And then let's see. There was comment on the chat. One was funny about, how insane it is of people to go to New York City for New Year's Eve. And
yes. Okay. Let's talk about this. So I know it's like some people's bucket list like to do this, but I would never. Like, you
don't have to literally pee on yourself. Like, no.
Yeah, and I don't want to be in a crowd of people all day, because they don't just show up at midnight. No, like you got to park in the morning to wait all day in the cold in New York City outside. And then you're all airtight against people. I couldn't do it. I could never do it. Do it.
I like my small town. My town is like 16,000. No, I'm not going to New York. Let's see. And then there was another one. Tech money line. Yes, I actually already bet Tech twice, and then I also bet them as a future to win the national title as well. That's how confident I am in this Texas Tech team.
My future is on Georgia. And I feel real confident in that, knowing that they're going to get a Carson Beck revenge game in the next round now. And I mean that in the sense of I don't think Carson Beck was very well liked in that locker room, and I think they're going to want to make him look awful.
Yeah.
So I think that that's an interesting dynamic. All right. Last team we got to talk about, Texas Tech. So good news and bad news, Zach. They throw to 4 guys. The good news is they throw to 4 guys. The bad news is they throw to 4 guys. So you really never know which one it's going to be. Is there anybody you're kind of leaning towards? Because I kind of have an idea, but I don't really know if it's going to line up with what you're thinking.
So I've always been a fan of Coy Eakin, but
Mm-hmm.
it's random. Like he'll get a 2
So
touchdown
random.
game, and then he'll disappear for like 4 games straight, and it's like, what's the deal? Because he kind of reminds me of like Edelman and Amendola
Mm-hmm.
and that type of guys that takes head. But let's see. Douglas and Virgil, I think, are the 2 guys I'm going to use the most because I think from what I saw with James Madison, it's the outside receivers that have been getting to Oregon when you get to them.
Yes.
And Eakin's more the slot if I remember right, and
Mm-hmm.
then Carter, tight end.
Tight end.
And so I think it's Virgil and Douglas. And if I had to pick one, it'd be Virgil if I was picking one.
I'm similar logic for you. I think I would go with Douglas over Virgil. Basically, so this is like a super weird way to think about it, but because Douglas is more expensive than Virgil and they're kind of similar profiles, Douglas is going to be significantly lower owned. I think Virgil's going to be significantly higher owned than Douglas. So I'll kind of take the opportunity to be different there if I'm playing a tech receiver. And so Douglas also he's had some explosive games. He had some explosive games last year. So I kind of think that he would be the one that would turn in a ceiling game at low ownership. So that would be my lean as Douglas.
Yeah, I think Virgil is actually coming in 3rd highest owned of all the receivers on what I look at. So Douglas,
That doesn't shock me.
And then to go along with what we talked about earlier is Charlie Becker is projected higher than Cooper, and so that's a good thing there. Sadiq is a little higher than Benson, and so you were liking Benson, so that's good right there.
Yeah.
But the one that blows my mind that we already talked about a little bit is Deshaun Stribling is projected 6% on my site that I look at.
I'm seeing 7%. So yeah.
Like Caden Lee is projected higher than him. Harrison Wallace again, and it's like Wallace hasn't even really done anything.
So would the argument for Lee be he's just a slot and maybe the slot is the place to attack Georgia?
I think it's price.
I don't know if that's accurate.
I think it's price because like Deuce Alexander was 3,300 last slate, and so he was chalk.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just they just want the cheapest one. But like Wallace, he literally had 2 catches against Tulane for 19 yards. He scored 3 touchdowns all season. Stribling's got that in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Like, I just don't understand with what the obsession is with Harrison Wallace. I guess it's everybody's still reliving, the Georgia State and the Kentucky and Arkansas games. But all
do it against a real team, Harrison Wallace.
Like, okay, he had literally what you're talking about. Because every game, Georgia 4 for 39, OU 5 for 64. Okay, not great. South Carolina 2 for 28. Citadel, another bad team, 8 for 87. Mm-hmm. Florida, another bad team, 6 for 68. Mississippi State, another bad team.
He's the wide receiver Taylon Green. We make fun of Taylon Green all season, like, hey, do it up against a real SEC opponent. And he's kind of like the Taylon Green at the wide receiver position. He's done all his damage against bad teams.
And Stribling, he's talented. I love him. And so I know it's probably not smart to do, like going 100%. I was 100% on Jeremiah Smith tonight. I'm going to do 100% on Deshaun Stribling at 4,800.
Like, when that's your guy, go for it. I got no problem with that. So let's go ahead and close it out here.
Yeah.
Zach, your core 3 for this slate. Keep in mind this is a cash game core. Who you got for the core 3 here this slate?
Yeah, obviously Stribling we talked about. Chambliss. Literally, I think Chambliss, you could just say Chambliss or Stockton, really. Both of those guys. And then Frazier, because of the price, and I think you could run on Ole Miss. But of the 3, because we're talking about cash, of the 3 for GPPs that I would fade more than the others would be Frazier, probably.
Yeah, I could see that.
So yeah, I'm excited. We finally got, today was the first day that we had, some bowl games that were actually fire. We
Yes.
watching
We actually
the
saw some offense today. It wasn't
La
Trey
Tech
Cook running
Coastal,
around.
yeah,
Yeah. Like,
6-3 for most of the first half.
yeah. So I was actually out with my kids at a children's museum when that game was going on. And like I kind of thought my Wi-Fi was bugging where I was at because I just kept refreshing the DraftKings app and like you just don't see your lines moving at all. And I'm like, oh, like, I guess like Wi-Fi's down or something. And no, there just was no offense. Like nobody was doing anything. So yeah, that one was a little annoying. Definitely happy to have the games we had today. All right, so let's get caught up on the chat. So Schnabe's asked us, do you like Tech money line? We're gonna pick all three games here in just a second. Darren, I don't like people sitting next to me on the couch on New Year's Eve. I get that. I'm very much a personal space person. I don't like people in my space. I'm not a hugger. I'm not a toucher. I don't do that. Swerve, nice to have you in the chat. My man says, what up, fellas? Good night on DraftKings. Ready for tomorrow. Same. Very much looking forward. Now that it's all closed in, I can confirm I made my money back tonight. I didn't turn a profit. I was like $3 negative. So we'll take it. It's not the end of the world. It's not optimal. It's not what you want, but it's not the end of the world.
Well, speaking of, I just pulled up my app. I'm literally the last spot in the $10 double up that I did, which I'll take it. As long as you're in, you're in.
Yep, that's for double ups. You got as much money as first place did.
But 164. Like, there's a lot of slates where you can cash with 125, 130 on a double ups, and 164 was the minimum for the
because those quarterbacks went crazy, absolutely crazy.
Actually, did decent on the showdown because Jeremiah Smith was 47 in the captain.
He was the guy you had to have. Bottom line, you couldn't fade Jeremiah Smith in showdown tonight.
I had Max Clare get a 0, and I still cashed.
Yeah, well, because the Smith captain just like it was the guy you had to have. All right, we're getting caught up here. Douglas had some big games, absolutely. Myron, 100% accurate. Oregon's defense as a whole did not impress me in that JMU game. Like I really left that game thinking, wow, like I think Tech's gonna be able to score some points on this team, and so I'm hoping that is right. I'm hoping that is right. Yeah, Darren, I'm not afraid to fire shots at Western Kentucky. I say that until Big Red is outside my bedroom door in the middle of the night, because that would be terrifying. And then so today was the first day we had multiple SEC defenses.
Yeah,
I mean, the Vanderbilt defense,
half of their defenses were out though. Like you had the number one draft pick, or not number one, but you have the what's the dude? The guys from Texas, those two corners they have. Muhammad,
oh yeah, they're missing 3 or 4 in the secondary.
The bowl games, that's where you were talking about. You can't really go off of that with bowl games because half the defenses are out. And so when you have half the defense out and then you have all the offense playing, like it's gonna be points.
Yeah. I just know Darren hates the SEC.
Yeah.
So I get it. Just despises the entire SEC, everybody in it. And I forgot to mention earlier, I know he said that seems like Stillwater is getting the entire Big Three for North Texas. Let me tell you, I want Texas to go get Caleb Hawkins. I don't know how feasible that is. I don't know if that's what is actually in the plan or whatnot. I want Caleb Hawkins to be a Longhorn. That is what I want. Really, I want Caleb Hawkins in burnt orange and white, and I'm hoping that they make that happen. Myron said he had a good showing in the showdown. That's what's up. Let's hope to continue that into tomorrow. Schnabe said Arch Heisman season next year. You bet. I'm going to go ahead and put the future in tomorrow, and we'll see how it goes from there. It did look like a lot of backups were in the second half. Yes, but they still got some injuries that the starters also didn't do all that great. So I agree that there's some backups in, but yeah, there's is definitely some give and take there. And then, yeah, we did have some real offense today. Arizona State and Duke, that was, well, you could be argued that was bad defense. Texas, that was good offense. Of course, when it's my team, it was good offense, right? All right, let's go ahead now and wrap us up and get on out of here. So let's go ahead and pick the game, Zach. Texas Tech, Oregon, who you got?
Yeah, I got Texas Tech. I've been riding them, and I think Tech, Indiana, Georgia, and Miami are top teams in college football.
Yeah,
and so
I'm pretty much on board with that. Like I think Tech beats Oregon. I'm going Tech money line. I'm rolling with it, and then I really think Indiana puts it on Alabama. I don't think that game is competitive. I hope Alabama fans here don't get mad at me, but I think that the Oklahoma game was a game between two broken teams, and Alabama was slightly less broken and made less mistakes than Oklahoma did. Oklahoma really gave that game away with turnovers and drop passes, and Alabama just didn't do dumb stuff like that. So I don't think Alabama is very good. And then I do think that Georgia rolls Ole Miss. I think that you get Kirby with the opportunity to make all of his adjustments, all of his preparation. Even though the game was competitive the first time, I think that was a pretty good outcome for Ole Miss. Ole Miss played well, and it was still an 8-point game. I think that Georgia kind of rolls them. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I agree on Indiana. I don't think Alabama's going to be that competitive. I hope anyways, that Georgia and Ole Miss is a shootout, and maybe Georgia pulls away late. Because if it is a blowout, then Lions won't be looking too great.
Yeah. I sympathize with that too. That's really the bottom line here. This last comment by Brett. Really just give us good games. Like just have them be competitive in the fourth quarter, or have it so that way I'm watching it and I'm like, you know what, that's good football right there. Because like even like last year, the Oregon Ohio State game, it wasn't super close, super compelling, but when you're watching it, you're like, wow, this Ohio State team's good. Because I know Oregon's pretty good and Ohio State's really taking it to them. So I just really hope that we get some good competitive games. That's what I'm hoping for.
I hope so too. I just wish that the Indiana Alabama, because that's the least intriguing to me, was the 11 o'clock and not Texas Tech.
Yeah, I kind of wish that game was the late night game, because I don't want to stay up till midnight to watch Georgia. I really don't. I want to watch that one. That one's gonna be fun. But yeah, now we're gonna be staying up to midnight to watch that one. So fun times.
Yeah, where did football season go? We're always
like
waiting to get here, and then it's gone. And just like college basketball, we wait to get it here, and now we're already halfway through because conference play is starting, and pretty soon it's going to be March.
So now that actually brings us to the very last point of business. I do not want this to be the last show. I want to come back next week for the semifinals. We will figure out what day to do it on, what time to do it on. I do want to have a show for the 2-game semifinal slate. We know that Miami, one of the teams playing tomorrow, the next 3. So I do want to have a show for that. Like I said, I can't guarantee a date and a time, because right now I'm coaching high school basketball and I got a lot of games that we got to make up due to weather earlier in December. So I'm not going to commit to a date and time, but I will tell you this. If you are subscribed to the channel, you will know when we go live. If you follow me on Twitter, you know we're going to tweet it out. If you join the Discord, my Discord, the Fantasy Corner, Zach's Discord, Big Country, join both of them. You'll know when we go live. You'll be able to join us for that. Tonight was probably the biggest audience we've had, which is great. So thankful for you guys to join us on New Year's Eve and ring it in with us, as opposed to go to a party or something like that. Like literally, like my wife is in bed. She didn't want to go all the way up to New Year's to midnight. So that's the reason I was able to do this show. Right. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us here on this New Year's Eve. Darren, I know you'll always be here. That's why you're my guy, Darren. And then Myron, imagine having to go to bed early on New Year's Eve when we're on Miami Beach. Yeah, so that's crazy. The fact that game's the noon game and all these guys that are there have to go to bed early. So also, I don't know if any of y'all have ever been around this, but do y'all know how they get the football players to make sure that they don't break curfew? Have you ever seen this, Zach?
No.
So when they're in a hotel, right? What you do is, because this was my job, like my senior year for one of the road trips, I had to be this guy. So you go door to door and you make sure that the players are in their hotel room, right? And then you put a piece of tape between like the door and like the wall by the door, right? And so what that is you're basically, if they were to open the door, the tape would break. And then they wouldn't be able to put it back on from the outside and go back in. You know what I'm saying? So so basically they're just, it's like Darren's saying, it's like bed checks, but it's like you're taping the door to make sure that you can go back that next morning and that tape is still there. That's the entire goal. And so, yeah, it must really stink to be in Miami. You're seeing the fireworks. You're probably hearing the EDM music somewhere, and you got tape on your door knowing that you can't go anywhere. All right.
There's one more question
here, though. You see something?
Yeah, Josh was asking about ownership a little bit.
Oh, I see it.
So I don't know if yours shows the same, but obviously Stockton, Chambliss, which mine has Stockton like way up, and then Chambliss, and then there's a drop off, and then Moore, Mendoza, Simpson, all about the same, and then Moore down below.
That's about what I'm seeing for quarterbacks as well. Stockton, big gap. Chambliss, decent gap. Mendoza, Moore, Simpson, gap. Morton. So Morton's your lowest owned quarterback, apparently. That's intriguing.
Yeah, and then running back, Dickey the highest, big gap. Lacey, a little gap. Frazier, Black, Hemby, Jacoby, all about the same. A big gap. Whittington and Hill and Davison, and then nobody else is owned.
Really, for me, what I'm seeing is a similar order to what you saw, but after Whittington, nobody's owned like at all.
Okay, and then
Dickey and Lacey are your talkbacks.
Yeah, and then receiver again, Branch way up there, big gap, and then Bernard, Virgil about the same. Then you have a little drop off: Surratt, Carter, Horton, Wallace, Douglas, Becker, Sadiq, Cooper, all around 15-20. And then you have Benson, Lee, Bell, Stribling, Alexander, Cuevas, Brooks, all about 5, and then everybody else is below 5.
Yeah, that's about what I'm seeing. So your chalky build tomorrow is Chambliss, Stockton, Lacey, and Dickey, and Branch at receiver. That's your chalky start tomorrow. So if you don't want to play chalk, don't start that.
Yeah, and like we've talked about, just mention this one more time, is because I see a lot of people, especially in Discord, building lineups that think that you have to have every piece low owned.
Yes,
and you don't have to. Like we just talked about. Get rid of Lacey, you're unique right there. Get rid of Branch, you're unique right there. Get rid of Chambliss, just one of those guys in your lineup. You only need 1 or 2 spots to be unique.
That's another thing as well. Like one way that I feel like this season is probably going to be my best ROI for college football that I've had in a while. And the one reason that I think it kind of worked out better for me is because I have a much better understanding now than I used to of building a pathway to first place. And what I mean by that is like having your lineup and like being able to see like, oh, this is how I end up in first place is these guys. This guy's my low owned piece. This is the chalk that I don't want to fade. Like just understanding how you get to first place. Like I go back to this a lot on my show, but there was a Friday night slate that South Florida was on where I had Byron Brown and I played him with Jeremiah Coger, right? 3K. Nobody knew about him at the time. And my entire thinking was like, hey, like, you know what? Everybody's going to play Byron Brown. If Coger goes off and you need it to go off like the other high-priced players hit, then that's my pathway to first place. And sure enough, it happened. Like Koger went off. Like, granted, is that something that's going to happen every time? No, but it's the pathway to first place. And so build your lineups with a pathway to first place in mind. It doesn't necessarily have to be playing all the 2% owned guys. It means playing the guys that are good plays with a little bit of ways to get different, either by construction or by the plays themselves, and going from there. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give on that.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before too. College football, a little bit, but college basketball, way even more so. The chalk is chalk for a reason.
Yes.
Because think about it. There, NFL, NBA, baseball, you got a whole lot more options to pick from. It's just college offenses for football are so condensed to 5-6 guys on offense. And then in basketball, it's usually 2 or 3 guys are the main guys. And so that's the reason why you're going to see a lot of ownership and with, especially with college basketball, not as much. They do a little bit better job with football, but college basketball, they'll misprice guys bad. Like today, we had Ahmad Robinson and Daniel Rivera from UAB that were way mispriced, averaging 5x their price tag. You just plug them in.
Just play them. You don't even have to think about it. Just play them.
Yeah. And so, like, there's eat the chalk, as Snobs is saying, eat the chalk, get different in 1 or 2 spots with similar ceilings. And I don't know what we have. Well, okay, we do have an example here. Harrison Wallace and Deshaun Stribling, because they're literally about the same price, $4,900 to $4,800. And that's exactly what he's talking about. If Wallace is 20% more owned than Stribling, but he gets 2 catches for 30 yards, that's 5 points. But Stribling gets a touchdown and 5 catches, that's leverage right there.
Mm-hmm.
And so also what we talked about before with Branch and Thomas, chalk receiver on the team, get another guy that's lower price and lower owned. Same thing with Cooper and Becker. And so just finding those ways to get different. Because if you want to use Stribling, you want to use Chambliss and Stockton together and Dickey or Williams, it's going to be chalky. You already know that. So fading Lacey or fading Branch is a way to get different.
100%. 100%. Like just hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, and especially with 3-game slate, the chalk is going to be a lot more prominent than it would be on like a 9-game slate.
Yeah. So I see we got last question from Darren here. It says, will your Carolina Panthers be in the playoffs and will they win a playoff game? So I thoroughly think they beat Tampa this weekend just because I think Tampa is just broken right now. I think
Tampa looks awful.
Yeah, like Baker's playing through some sort of injury that he won't know about. None of the receivers are fully healthy. Like I think Carolina wins on Saturday. I can't say that I feel good about a home game versus Seattle, San Fran, or the Rams, though. I don't feel good about that. So I think it's very likely that they win this Saturday, not very likely that they win in the playoffs. But, hey, the NFL, if you get in the bracket, you got a shot. So we'll see. But, all right, I think that's going to pretty much cover us here, Zach.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us again. Thanks, Mike, for having me. I'm looking forward to that'll be a good, fun one to talk about with the 2-game slate. Hopefully they do a 2-game slate, even though it's on back-to-back days.
They did last year, so I'm hoping that they will this year. Yeah.
And it's Thursday and Friday, so we might have to do Wednesday or Tuesday or something weird.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We always do. But yeah, that's going to do it here. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for ringing in the new year with us. We're getting out 35 minutes before the ball drops. But if you can help us out before you go, make sure you hit that like button. Helps me out a ton when you guys do that. I cannot stress enough how much I appreciate it. And then also subscribe to the channel because, like I said, I don't know what day we're going to do this last live show on. If you're subscribed, you will know when we go live. So let's go ahead and close it out there. Best of luck to you guys in the New Year's Day slate. Hopefully you guys start off New Year's Day 2026 with winning in college football DFS. And hopefully it was because of some of the stuff we talked about here today. Best of luck to you guys. Enjoy the college football playoff, and I will see you guys next time. Happy New Year, everybody.